Hi there, my name is Ben and I like to read. Today we're going to be reviewing our first fiction book, The Terror by Dan Simmons. This is a historical fiction book about the failed expedition by HMS Erebus and HMS Terror in the 1840s to try and find the Northwest Passage, which entailed British ships sailing up into what is now the Canadian Arctic to try to find a way to the Pacific, except via the Arctic. At the time that this was written, which was in 2007, of course, we had not known what had happened to the expedition. They were lost. However, in 2014, the Canadian military ended up discovering on routine exercise the remains of HMS Terror, so we can, in fact, pinpoint exactly where it was when it sunk, when it was trapped in the ice, and we can put an end to the story. What Mr. Simmons does in his book right here is, because he didn't have all the facts at that time, the last half of the book sort of is, what happened, while the Terror and Erebus were in that pack ice. Because again, he didn't know what happened. The book itself, with this new historical knowledge, has now been adapted into a AMC show called The Terror. The first season is based on the book. The second season is based in World War II at a Japanese internment camp in the United States. I would definitely recommend checking out the TV series. It's a fantastically scary, really, really well acted. But this book as well, let's talk a little bit about it. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's Leviathan in its length. It pushes almost 800 pages. It's actually like around 770. So it is quite long. If you're not a fan of longer books, you might want to stay away from it. That being said, it is well worth the read, in my opinion. It goes through different point of view characters who are in fact historical characters as well. It's very well researched, I must say, by Mr. Simmons himself. I think that it's, given it really, the way that he writes is very descriptive. It puts you in this freezing cold sailboat that has a coal engine in it, and you are up north, caught in pack ice for a couple of years, back before, we had to worry about melting ice caps. And you have to deal with canned food that has been improperly sealed and, sealed with lead. So you have to deal with stuff like scurvy and all these other, gory things that go on. There is also a supernatural element to this as well, wherein our main character, or I should say one of the main characters, the second in command for the expedition, Captain Francis Crozier, has to not only contend with leading this expedition after the commander, John Franklin, has been mysteriously killed, but there is this supernatural spirit, the Tunbak. I'm not sure if I am pronouncing that right. It's an Inuktitut word, meaning this beast, this supernatural demon almost, that is deciding to wipe out and eat the crew. Their only hope at survival is actually a Inuit lady by the name who they call Lady Silence. She's called that because she does not speak neither English nor her own language, mainly because she does not have a tongue, which is just a glimpse of the gory stuff that is about to happen. In my opinion, this is a really, really solid read. It's a commitment, to say the least. Like I said, Mr. Simmons has a unbelievable way with the words, in the sense where you are truly transported back into that time. That said, it's well researched as well. That said, it can get a little bit too descriptive. There are some points in the novel that you almost do feel like could have been excised a little bit. not to make a pun or anything, but some fat definitely could have been trimmed. That said, the supernatural element did add a nice twist to it. The characterizations were great. I feel that some more service could have been put to the, some different points of view could have been appreciated. But that being said, I believe there are almost 10 characters. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I would say there's probably around 6 or 7 main point of view characters in which the novel keeps flipping back and forth, and there is some backstory that is involved as well. So again, 770 pages, including acknowledgments and an introduction, does seem like a relatively fair length for it. If you're not necessarily interested in fiction, you might want to skip this one, especially given that it is such a read. That being said, though, like I said, up until, and this is for no fault of the authors, up until the point where they did have to abandon the terror, it's remarkably accurate. Of course, there are some embellishments for story. So, as a piece of history, I could say that, yeah, it is. You can definitely tell that Mr. Simmons picked his sources well. But yeah, I would recommend read it. If the length is a little bit daunting to you, I would of course say skip it. That said, it didn't necessarily feel overly long to me. I feel like, again, this wasn't something along the lines of Crime and Punishment, which we'll get to in another video, where you really, really feel the pages. It reads well, the tone is nice, and yeah, if you're interested in historical fiction with a little bit of a supernatural twist, I'd say pick it up and give it a shot. Let me know what you think of it. Thanks for watching.